Hello and welcome to Stupid Ancient History with Midgley
and Taylor and our expert, non-expert and special guest, the amazing James, hegemon of all that is science and wearer of fancy lab coats.
Hello.
As always, we're wearing togas, we're eating olives, and today we're going to look at the birth of Alexander the Great. Previously on Stupid Ancient History, we've been looking at the rise of Macedonia before the arrival of Alexander.
Yeah, and how a kingdom rich in resources but seemingly wild and chaotic rose to become one of the main powers in Greece.
When they stop knifing each other for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
You can achieve a lot when you stop killing each other, can't you, James?
So anyway, and how during the 5th century, whilst the rest of Greece was plunged into conflict, Macedonia was able to stay relatively unscathed.
Yeah, they pretty much just sat on the sidelines and watched during the Persian and Peloponnesian Wars. Fair enough.
But with the ascent of Philip II to the Macedonian throne, things began to start to go Macedonia's way under this cunning and ruthless king.
He was definitely a lover and a fighter.
Ah, both.
Full package.
Ding dong!
And to achieve this dominance over Greece, we looked at some of the key developments he made to the Macedonian army.
Well, big pointy sticks.
Yeah, so the development of the sarissa, James, actually, if you're being factually correct, and an emphasis on cavalry tactics.
Big pointy sticks and horses.
And horses, yes.
Standard.
So the birth of Alexander.
Yep.
We've been through births of famous people before.
Yeah, but, you know,
They've been utter nonsense.
They're all interesting in their
I'm
own
not saying
right,
not
James.
interesting, but they are ludicrous, and this is what I'm here for. So give me it. Give me the nonsense.
Well, look, there's no wolf prostitutes this time.
What?
No.
Shocking.
What about vines? What about was a tidal wave? Is that coming to it somewhere? I don't know. Whatever nonsense they come out with.
Well, we should point out that the whole mythology around the birth of great leaders is about separating them from the ordinary folk. So, you know, you need, a tidal wave from wheat or a vine or a wolf prostitute or something to mark them out as being different.
Being a king doesn't mark you out enough.
Just popped out and had a nice birth is not good enough.
Yeah, in the ancient world, people like to think of their leaders, they were destined to do something special.
Okay.
They like this whole idea of being born great rather than, kind of having worked his way up from being a humble goat washer. They like this idea that you're born with great stuff going on.
Okay. Does Alexander continue that vein?
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
I've got big hopes. So, Alexander, birth of Alexander, give me the nonsense.
Well, we're actually going to start with the conception of Alexander.
This podcast is taking a very different turn. Right, okay. So, are we in a bedroom? Where does this story begin?
Well,
A Ford Fiesta.
Oh my god!
oh dear God. No Ford Fiestas. So it obviously starts with Alexander's dad, Philip, who, as we've established, had multiple wives.
7, he said?
7. But Olympias, Alexander's mum, was his 4th.
Is that ranking or just number in which he married
in
them?
chronological order. She's
Okay.
been before.
She can't do the pots and get bumped up to 3rd or anything like that.
No.
Okay, so who's the 4th? His 4th wife?
4th wife.
Okay. How did they meet then? How did they get on?
Well, we know Philip is keen to build links and ties with the kingdoms around Macedonia.
Just by marrying people.
Through marriage, yeah. So Plutarch starts with this little snippet.
So he fell in love with her when she was an orphan and proposed marriage to her after persuading her brother Arimbus to consent.
He didn't orphan her, did he?
No.
He's just like, I've just murdered your parents, marry me.
It's not beyond belief with Philip, but as far as we know, no. So he meets Olympias, orphan princess of Illyria,
Okay.
strong arms a brother, and they decide to get hitched. And once that happens, things start to get a bit interesting.
I hope so. This is very mundane so far.
So the bride, on the night before they slept together in their bedroom, woohoo, thought that there was a peal of thunder and that a thunderbolt fell on her womb.
Okay, that sounds painful.
Oh, there's
Just
more.
a bit. From the blow, much fire sprung up, I'm not surprised, and then it broke into flames that went everywhere before being extinguished.
Okay.
I know what you're thinking, James. How did she not fry like a chip?
It's one of
Like
the
a
things
chip.
I'm thinking about, yeah.
I mean,
I mean, to be
Thunderbolt,
fair, there's a lot going on.
yeah. Thunderbolt to the womb.
Sounds quite painful.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously, you've got to remember it's Greek mythology. The Thunderbolt is obviously Zeus
Yeah.
doing what Zeus does best, and if you're not that
Making
up on,
babies.
yeah, if you're not that up on Greek mythology, what Zeus does best is make babies with people he's not meant to make babies with.
Basically, everyone but his wife.
Yeah.
Whole new meaning to that phrase, wham bam thank you ma'am, isn't it?
Wow. Wow.
The new enlightened 21st century. So yeah, and obviously Zeus being the lightning bearer, the suggestion is it's not just any old lightning bolt to the womb. I mean, that's some good aim.
Yeah.
Lightning bolt to the womb is clearly Zeus.
So this kind of separates him from Romulus, and because he was son of Mars.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they've got different dads.
Yeah, sort of.
Right. I know a little bit about biology. It's not my specialism, but I'm going to guess if you've just been lightning bolted in the womb, you're not having any kids anytime soon.
I mean, you'd think so, wouldn't you?
It's not good for you, I wouldn't think.
You wouldn't have thought so, but that is not the case.
No.
As far as Alexander's concerned, anyway.
No,
Okay.
and certainly it doesn't seem to put Philip off either.
What, was he there?
Well, because Plutarch continues straight away with...
Philip, at a later time after his marriage, dreamt that he was putting a seal on his wife's womb. In his opinion, the carving on the seal had the image of a lion.
You're looking a bit perplexed there, James.
Carving on the womb? What? Seal on the womb, sorry.
Wax seal on the womb. You know, like you'd seal on,
Yeah,
put a
yeah.
seal on jars.
Yeah, I'm aware of the practice, but that's not where you should do that.
Or how?
Yeah. I mean, there's lots to unpack in that.
There is. But again, apparently Philip sees this as an omen. He's keen to know what it means, so he does his due diligence and he asks around. I've just had this... Hang on, lads. I've had this dream about putting a wax seal on my wife's womb.
Oracle of Delphi, they always go there.
Well, over to Plutarch.
So when the other seers considered the vision, they thought that Philip needed to keep a close eye as possible on his marriage relations. Aristander of Telmasus said that the woman was pregnant because a seal is not used on empty things, and that she was carrying a child who was bold in spirit and had a lion-like nature.
Okay, so bold spirit. Is this alluding to Alexander in some way?
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's very much this idea of Alexander the Great. You
Yeah,
know,
his
lion.
lion-like
before
tenacity. Yeah.
So if he's got other wives, then none of his other children have these prophetic.
Not that we know of. Maybe he didn't go around sealing up. Again, the mechanics of that is...
I've got lots of questions. I'll ask our head of biology. I'll ask Miss Catu. She can
Yeah.
talk me through
Because
it.
I don't think I know the answers to that. But we're not done yet.
You know what? I didn't think we were. I mean, we've already got what, lions and
Wombs.
I know
and
they said
lightning.
sea lions then. A lion seal.
Still more to come.
Yeah. So, lightning and seals aside, there is another story about Alexander's conception.
I mean, God, go on. Tell me the smut that's probably going to follow.
Go on then, Plutarch.
So, in addition, a snake was seen stretched out next to Olympus's body as she slept, and they say that this, more than anything else, reduced Philip's love and friendliness towards his wife, and that he no longer slept with his wife, either because he feared some spells and enchantments might be used against him by his wife, or because he was avoiding association with her, as she was the partner of a superior being.
Okay, so this is another idea that Alexander's like the son of a god.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to unpack there, but before we get into the whole snake business,
I was going to ask what does a snake represent.
we'll come to that in a bit. We should pick up on the fact that after this conception, Philip and Olympias really don't get on.
So it's basically like a one-night stand, but was a one-night marriage.
Marriage.
very much is. Job's done.
Okay.
Awkward morning after. So then there's the snake.
Right.
Yeah.
So, what? I'm presuming this is not a real snake, and it's also not a euphemism.
Well,
It is
Mr.
meant to be a real snake.
Okay.
Obviously, Philip sees this snake as being a representation of a superior being.
Yeah.
yeah. So everyone's favourite adulterer, Zeus.
Is he known to? Actually, he was a swan at one point, wasn't he? He
he's
does anything.
known to take other forms.
Yeah.
So it's not unbelievable that he would be
Wasn't
a
he
snake.
wasn't he like a golden rain once?
You name it, he's been it to do that same thing.
Yeah, but
So
then-
anyway, if the snake's meant to be Zeus, again, this would be great for Alexander because he could claim to be the son of Zeus,
Yeah.
if that's what the snake's been there doing.
But
Yeah.
Plutarch does have another explanation for the snake.
Continue.
So the snake comes from Olympias. Apparently, was really involved in these kind of rituals and Orphic rites surrounding the god Dionysus. Wine and, let's call it, ecstatic dancing.
Okay.
And to celebrate Dionysus, they used to have these orgies,
Okay.
and of which she was quite involved in. And apparently, in this part of Greece, when they went to these orgies, women would take tame snakes in baskets just to pop out in the middle of the orgy to scare people as a jolly good laugh.
Right. Okay.
So it's possibly a snake left over from a previous orgy.
That old jape. Just what?
Okay. But let's go
So-
with it's meant to
so-
be Zeus.
So it's meant to be Zeus, and/or she got knocked up at an orgy.
And or it's just a prop left over from one of her Dionysian rituals.
Right. Okay.
Either way, there's a snake. It's a bit weird.
It
Puts
is, yeah.
Philip off.
Right. I know I said I wanted tidal waves of wee and vines
Yep.
and all that good jazz. We're not far off. I'm not as disappointed as I thought I would be because he's not been born, and we've got lightning bolts, wax seals.
Zeus and a snake orgy.
Yeah, I mean, it's getting there. It's good.
I mean, it's quite a turn of events.
It is,
It's
yeah.
not what you normally expect on a Wednesday, which is why, in response, Philip decides, right, maybe he does need to consult the oracle at Delphi.
I knew they'd go there. They always give really good, straightforward advice.
They do. Although in this case, it says it seems relatively straightforward.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in a nutshell, Philip is told that he has to make lots of sacrifices to the gods to honour them, make sure everything's fair and good. But
He would, however, lose the eye which he had put to the chink in the door when he had seen the god in the form of a snake sharing the bed with his wife.
Okay.
so apparently Philip's been watching the snake. And,
Yeah. So he was creeping on his own wife through the keyhole or through the
Yeah.
door, and he's now going to lose that eye.
Yep.
Because he saw Zeus as a snake.
Yeah, and they're all going down this idea of impregnated by a god idea.
Yeah.
And especially kind of Olympias, Alexander's mum. So it seems that she is the one that tells Alexander all of this, probably to kind of try and strengthen her relationship with him.
Okay.
Because he's effectively her anchor to the Macedonian throne.
Yeah.
So it stands right. Although there is, again, supposedly another version where she rejects all these stories, saying Alexander must stop slandering her to Hera, who is Zeus's wife.
Doesn't
and-
like him playing away.
Yeah, and...
She's the goddess of marriage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
ironically enough. But she's quite vengeful against those who Zeus has been,
Knocking off.
Yeah.
So yeah, so,
Spending time with.
yeah. So yeah, she's basically saying, "You've got to stop saying this, otherwise Hera's going to come and split me in half."
Right, we've kind of gone around the houses here. We've had
Yeah.
a lightning bolt, wax seals, lions, snakes.
Missing eye.
Did Philip actually lose his eye?
Yeah.
He did?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
He was in a battle, but
Oh, it did just fall out.
yeah, they did
No.
not specify how he was going to lose.
Right,
his eye.
okay. Are we actually round to Alexander being born? Yeah.
We are indeed.
Excellent.
But the birth is equally as busy, shall we say, as
Busy.
the conception.
Busy with nonsense, I presume.
Absolutely. How else would you be busy? So, Alexander's born in July 356 BC, probably round about the 6th, give or take.
That's very specific.
Yeah, give or take.
Well, still.
Yeah, and as we've already said, there's plenty going on that day.
So, like what?
Well, the first other event is described like so.
This was the day when the temple of Ephesian Artemis was burnt. Hegesias and Magneum made a statement about this, which would have been able to extinguish the fire with its coldness, for he said that it was not surprising that the temple of Artemis was burnt down, as the goddess was at work delivering Alexander.
Right, okay. So she's busy looking after him being born.
And her own temple burns down.
Why would she look after him? She was hunters, wasn't she?
Hunters, but again, it's this idea that he's going to be this wild...
Right, okay.
Yeah, but that's not the main problem. It's even more prophetic, because Plutarch then adds...
All the Magi who were at Ephesus at that time thought that the disaster of the temple was a symptom of another disaster. They ran about, beating their faces and shouting out that on that day a curse and a great disaster for Asia had been born.
Okay, so they just were slapping themselves a lot, shouting that Asia... What do they count as Asia?
Everything east of the Aegean Sea.
Right, okay.
So the Persian Empire.
Yeah, okay.
So it's going to be
So he was what did they say, a blight on them or
a
something?
great disaster
great
for all of
disaster.
Asia.
Is that him going to take it all over?
Yeah,
that's what
much.
it's
Yeah,
trying to
from
say.
an ancient Greek point of view, if indeed these events did happen, there's a fair chunk of prophecy going on. This kid's born, it's like, oh, great curse on
So
all
God's
of Asia.
delivering him,
Yeah.
and he's going to go ruin Asia.
And we're
Yeah.
boned.
But that is kind of assuming the description of the events is accurate and it hasn't been embellished later on
I mean, it probably
as
has.
some
Yeah.
kind of hand PR stunt for Alexander.
Yeah, Alex, why do you want to go and do that? I'm born the great curse of all Asia.
Yeah.
But again, even still, no pressure on this newborn baby or anything.
Well, yeah. He's got a lot to live up to. So it's shaping up to be a pretty busy day.
Yep,
The 6th of July?
6th of July, yeah.
Yeah. We done? Is there anything else happening?
Well, temple on fire, not enough?
I mean, it's a start.
Okay, there is more.
Okay,
Over to
good.
Plutarch.
So Philip, on the other hand, had just taken Potidaea. 3 messages came to him at the same time. The first, that the Illyrians had been conquered in a great battle by Parmenio, and the second, that his racehorse had won a victory at the Olympic Games.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, good day.
Yeah.
It's a good day for Philip all around.
Yeah, I mean, we should point out as well that Parmenio, he's one of kind of Philip's key generals, most trusted guys in the field. He later becomes one of Alexander's key generals.
Okay.
So he's quite important. So you've got that, you've got the horse race, and there is a third.
So it says, and the third was about the birth of Alexander.
Oh, so after all that other stuff has happened, you've also got a son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, fair enough.
I mean, you could look at it as a bit of an anticlimax. I mean,
Well, yeah.
let's be honest, this is Philip's fourth wife. This isn't going to be his first child.
I'm about to say, do we know how many children he has at this point?
No.
So when you say fourth wife, are they consecutive, or has he bin one off and marry again?
No, they're all
He's married them all at the same time.
pretty much, yeah.
Told
Okay.
you, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
No. So yeah, it's not his first child. However, being a bit of a spiritual and superstitious man, Philip ends up being more than a bit pleased.
So it says, he was delighted by these things, as you would expect. The seers raised his spirits even higher still when they said that a son born at the time of 3 victories would be unconquerable.
Unconquerable. That's quite good.
Yeah, I mean, again, pretty
I mean,
high expectations for this kid who's just popped out.
does a horse winning a race count as a victory in that
Well,
sense?
It was the Olympics.
Again, we've got to think, haven't we? That's based on the sources being accurate. Are they accurate? Can we trust them?
Did it all happen on the same day? Probably not. So there you go, birth of Alexander. There's plenty going on. Obviously, it's kind of omens, and more divine influence. Certainly with like the conception, you've got the lightning bolt, the lion seal, the snake in the bed, the losing an eye. There's plenty going on.
Yeah. So it's all of it is to kind of put this idea out there, isn't it? That Alexander is special. All of these things are just showing how special he is and kind of creating this, I'm trying to think, this
Destiny.
kind of myth and this destiny and this idea of fate that he is destined to be this kind of saviour of Greece and this great man and all this kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, and there's also like a huge amount of influence from Olympias in this. She's the one apparently telling him all these stories and filling his ideas full of like, you're the son of a god and you're a great divine
when
person.
she's telling him all this, is Philip around to go, well, it didn't quite happen like that? Or,
No.
Okay.
No, because again, don't forget, those two, after the wedding night,
They didn't really speak.
no, they really don't get on. Maybe some kind of cold words at breakfast and
Right, okay.
that kind of thing. And then you skip forward to his birth, same kind of deal. The Temple of Ephesian Artemis burns down. Philip has a great victory over the Illyrians. He wins the Olympics.
And again, it's this idea, isn't it? It's like, can all of those things really happen? Can all of this stuff really happen to one family?
Well,
I mean,
On one day.
it's quite a lot going on, isn't there? So it's like you've got to take it with a pinch of salt to a certain degree and think, is a lot of this just kind of propaganda?
It's all
put
prophecy.
forward by the sources.
If Philip was kind of like a very lead from the front sort of king, why was he not at this victory that was being won for him?
he was probably fighting someone else.
Right,
At
okay.
the same time, but again, it's all prophecy. But again, it's even more specific now. It's not just you're going to be great; you're going to be the curse of all Asia.
Yeah.
So it's that, from birth, he is destined to be this. He's like Harry Potter, but with a big spear.
And is that just his, is he just manipulating fact to kind of fulfill his own ambitions or kind of justify his ambitions?
Absolutely. I
And-
mean, there's certainly this idea of it being propaganda, but it certainly fits in with what he wants to do next, and whether
Yeah.
it was rewritten. But yeah, it's all. He's got a very specific purpose. It's no good if he wants to grow up to be, I don't know, a used horse salesman. It's like, nope, you were born to be the curse of all Asia. Off you go.
I don't want to be the curse of Asia, Dad.
But you've got to be. The
Oh.
God said so. But yeah, we should point out it's really likely to be manicured afterwards to justify why he's dragging a load of people all the
You
way.
don't think the
across
lightning
Asia.
bolt to the womb happened?
I was not there. I wouldn't care to comment. I think it would be unlikely.
Maybe that was the way they used to do cesareans then, lightning bolt.
I mean, there's even...
Not as conception.
Oh no, sorry.
Caesarean conception sounds horrific.
It does.
I think that's a good place for us to stop.
I think we should have stopped a few seconds before
I think
that.
we should. So there you have it, our quick overview of the conception and birth of Alexander the Great. Thank you for listening. We hope this has been useful. As always, leave us a comment below, and until next time, goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.